So when we do like readings, I would say to call on all your guides, whatever you believe in, the higher power, source, light, God, Kuan Yin, Buddha, whatever it is. I call them all in. And I ask for spirit guides, guardian angels, everything. And I ask them to come through and to guide me when I do these readings. I also ask them that when I do my reading, may I speak the truth from my heart, and may I be an empty vessel for them to come through so that I can tell these people or this person I'm doing a reading for exactly what they need to hear. Because sometimes they want to hear something and you want to people please and tell them what they want to hear, but they need to hear something else. Now, here's the catcher too, though. Sometimes our guides make us look really dumb because because they want us to say something that's probably not going to happen, but it's probably to motivate the person because the person has to hear that in order to be motivated. So sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, this is what I get. And they don't tell you, oh, lie to her and tell her this is what you get. They're just gonna send the message through and I'll be like, okay, so I feel that you guys will not have a strong relationship. And it almost feels as if you guys might separate. And then you'll go home and you'll think about that sentence and you'll be like, no, I don't want to separate. I want to stay with this person. I'm going to work really, really hard to make it work. I'm going to talk to him. We're going to go to counseling, and then it works out. And then they're like, but the psychic must have sucked because because she told me that we're going to separate. And sometimes, yes, we become that fall person or the instigator or the one to light the fire up their ass in a way to make them do something or change something in their life. And with that, we realize that we are just saying what we are supposed to say. We're saying what they want us to say, the messages. We're not saying what we want to say, what they want to say. It's not for us to translate or interpret, but to relay message. So my husband, he does readings too. So what he does is he did this reading once for this lady, and he told the lady, I see a rabbit jumping over a freeway. So I feel you shouldn't have a rabbit. And so that was his message. What she told him was, I was just thinking about buying a Volkswagen Rabbit. And so she said, I think I shouldn't, now that you're telling me this. See, so it's like if he was to translate that, that would have gone really bad because he might have said something like, oh, don't buy a rabbit as a pet, or it might get run over, or, something. But he just relayed the message as he got it, and she interpreted it as she was supposed to get it. So it's not for us to like translate the whole thing just to give the message. Sometimes when we try to translate the whole thing, it messes everything up. So energy, like I say, it's all around us and we all work with it every day, just like everything else. Anybody can learn to be psychic. It's just like, for example, an artist, right? An artist, they can be born just a really amazing artist. They don't even need to take classes. They're so gifted and talented. And then there's these people that want to learn how to do art. So they take classes and they learn about art and they open their minds to it and they study it and they practice it and they become just as good and maybe even better. So it's not that one is, stronger than the next. It's basically that in time with anything, you can learn it. Yeah. And so can intuition. When we do this kind of readings, we have to really open our hearts to the person. And my teacher used to tell me, your heart's not open. And I used to get so pissed. I used to be like, you're saying like I'm an asshole or something? Like my heart's not open, like what are you trying to tell me? But what it is it's nothing like that. It's kind of like, say you got hurt by somebody so bad and you just don't want another relationship because you don't want to get hurt again. So you go on dates and you go on these dates, but every time you meet that person, you're going through the motion of going out with them, hanging out with them. But inside, you feel like something's missing. And you don't realize that you have your guard up, and you don't realize that your heart is closed. And you can be like the nicest person in the world, but your heart can still be closed, and you're not taking in any emotions and feelings because you don't want to get hurt. So you close it off. And so when you close it off, it's harder to do readings because then you're just doing readings from here, which is your third eye versus your heart. So when you're just doing readings from your third eye, it's really good, but when you're doing it from your heart, you're connecting to the person and you can feel their pain and you can word things a little bit differently so that they can understand that you understand them. And once they realize that you can understand them, then they'll open up and then they will receive the message better. Because before I used to just read with my third eye. I used to just read with my third eye. I used to see all kinds of stuff. I'd read with my third eye and it'd be like, oh yeah, I see your grandmother. She looks like this. I mean, woo, like that's so cool. But then like, what is that gonna do for her? You know? And then when you open your heart though, it's kind of like you're going in and you're seeing what the struggles are and you're seeing what they're going through. And it's like you're telling them like I feel your pain. Like I know what you're going through. And because I know what you're going through, I think I can give you this message and you'll be able to receive it better. So it's a little bit different.
Maris, how is it that some psychics um it's harder for them to read people that are close to them?
Oh yeah, it always is. It always is. I mean, to me, I feel that it always is because and you know what? You don't get that shock value too, because you already know them so well. So like I could
Oh,
be with my friend and be like, oh, you're gonna go here tonight and da da, and they're like, remember I told you last week I was gonna go. I was like, that's right, I forgot, on top of that, I think you want something for your friends. Like when you do readings for strangers, not saying you don't care about strangers, but when it's your friend, you want the best for them. So when you do the reading, it's hard to take away that ego outside of yourself
oh,
and to just do the reading because you have this concern and you want to help them so bad that sometimes you get blinded and you see what you wish would happen versus what will really happen. And then sometimes it's like you don't want to tell the truth because you know it would crush their heart. Yeah. So sometimes it is hard to see, or sometimes they know and they don't want to read into it anymore, you know?
oh.
Like, like, like my family or something like, oh, I know when so and so is gonna pass away or whatever, but you know, I wouldn't read into it like when, where, why, like you just want it to naturally happen. Sometimes we just don't want to plan, we don't want to go there, we don't want to think about it. So things like that, that's also a possibility too. The thing too is every reading is different. It's not going to be the same. That's why when people ask me, what do I do? They ask me, do you channel? Do you use cards? Are you medium? What are you? Right. And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know how to answer that because everybody's different. Like I would have this one girl, her father, when the father passed away, before her reading, he would come in and he would talk to me so clear. He'd like grab a paper and pen. I got stuff to tell you. I'm like, okay. And I grab paper and pen and I'm writing this stuff down. And he's like, oh, tell her that mom got a vacuum cleaner. I'm like, what? I was like, mom got a vacuum. I'm just writing weird crap down there. I have no idea what it means. And then it's like, it's a surprise in the closet. It's a surprise in the closet. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And then she comes in, she sits down all smiling, and I'm like, your dad is here. And before I even start the clock, before it's even 10 minutes in, I'm telling her all this stuff. And I'm like, something about a vacuum cleaner in the closet and happy birthday. And she'll be like, oh yeah, today's my mom's birthday. And you know what was weird? She went in the closet and she found this vacuum cleaner that was unopened. And he was supposed to give it to her a long time ago, but he didn't. And she was crying and she opened it and she decided to use it. I'm like, wow, why can't all my readings be like that? Like it's so cool. And then the next reading I get is like, chirp, chirp. You hear
Oh,
nothing. You just get very simple readings with the cards, and that's why it's tough because can you imagine that girl probably left going, oh, she's so good. I gotta tell everybody about her. And then the person comes and like, she didn't tell me about my auntie that just, so everyone is so different. And I try to figure out what it is. I know most of it is we have to keep a clear space. But I also believe that on the other side, they're trying to communicate with us too. And if they know how to do that and meet us halfway, and we meet them halfway, then I think the reading comes really strong. Because that father that comes through, he used to do this kind of stuff. Like he used to joke with her about spirituality and go to classes with her. And he said, I'm gonna make things happen when I'm gone, so I guess it was easy for him. He knew how to do that. Like he would make the lights turn off and on and all these things to joke around with her. Yeah, so it really depends. Everyone is very, very different. Yeah. So don't expect it to be one way. I give people credit, like, those well-known guys that like, what is that? Can't remember some of their names, but those mediums, the different mediums, and then like where they can always get a spirit, which is cool. But I'm also thinking it's because these guys are searching for them for those reasons. So they probably went through a lot of sadness and not enough closure. So that's why they're waiting for them already. I don't think all my clients are looking for that closure. I think maybe they had closure already. So that can be also another reason. But everyone is definitely different. But to keep our hearts open, we have to think of it as our heart is like yawning open, so it's like we can kind of like physically and with intention feel it opening up. You want to keep it open. What it is like whenever you're going through something, everyone starts closing off their chakras because on some level they don't want to see it, they don't want to feel it, they don't want to talk about it. So all these things start closing off. And then all their psychic abilities start closing off because they don't want to look at the situation. You go through any kind of situation, whether it's good or bad, check to make sure everything is open. Because for some reason, when it's open, your chakras and your body and the energy learns about that frequency and that scenario that you go through. And as it processes and it learns about it, it makes you stronger. Like it makes all your chakras stronger so that it doesn't close, so that you'll always be balanced. And when it makes it stronger, you will also be able to pick up more things because it'll just stay open. And so throughout the day, we have things like, closing and opening because of the people we're around, what we've been going through, and how we deal with life. So if we're able to keep it open at all times, you're going to feel like a buzzing in your heart mostly, where it's kind of like working through the energy.
So is that how we know? I mean, because that was what my question was going to be is how do we know if our chakras are open, and then how do we know which ones are lacking?
Oh, it's okay. So it's pretty easy because, okay, if we start with the root chakra, if it's closed, anything to do with our feet or legs, because it's considered the foundation. Foundation also meaning family. So root, that's why, right? Like the root of the situation. So sometimes it's family, and sometimes we're just not grounded. We're not grounded, meaning we're all over the place. We got a lot that we're doing. And we have to do more physical work because we're doing too much spiritual work. Our energy is too up here. So then we'd have to work on the root chakra. And to work on the root chakra is to do something like walk in grass, to ground, to do more physical exercise. So maybe like boxing, kickboxing, running, that kind of thing. Or qigong, tai chi, like very grounding kind of arts. You can also visualize the color red because red stands for the root chakra. So you could visualize the color red from your root chakra down, all the way through your feet. And you can just focus on that for a little while. Have the sacral chakra, the sex chakra, which is this orange light, and that one, which if it's imbalanced, usually it's on relationships, but it's all different relationships. not just partnership, business, friends, family, all the relationships in your life. And the cause of that is usually that we shut it off because we relate to any type of intimacy as something not to be feared, but I guess like we're on guard. Yeah, we're on guard because we lose trust in a lot of people. It doesn't necessarily mean a different relationship, but just in people in general. Maybe they got messed up, screwed over by somebody, backstabbed or whatever. Yeah. So you can tell because you usually will have sexual problems are ovaries, uterus, that kind of situations. Sexual chakra is like the orange energy. So you visualize orange in that area, the uterus, the bladder. The solar plex is a yellow energy. And that's more like contemplation energy, thinking a lot. If you overthink and you think yourself out of situations, most of the time something is wrong with the solar plex chakra. Also, they say if you're possessive or the other way around, someone's possessing you, always trying to control you. So to the extremes. And it's also a creative chakra. So if you're blocked creativity wise, something might be wrong with it. And then any organ in this area. So liver, spleen, gallbladder, large intestines, small intestines, basically most of the main organs, yeah. So to help it, you would visualize yellow or do something creative. It's also what we call like the intuitive gut feeling. So when it's closed, you don't have that gut feeling response of just doing something spontaneously because you're guided to. Yeah. The heart chakra, they say it's a green color, but some people say it's a pink color. I just kind of merge the two together. I look at it as pink with a lot of green on the outside.
A watermelon?
Yeah, like a watermelon. And that energy is closed off again with relationships and trusting. So it could be like a combination of two. And not opening your heart to the world because you don't want to get hurt. A lot of times people get the wrong idea. They think your heart chakra is closed because you're a bad person. Sometimes it's closed because you're a really good person and you just don't want to feel that pain anymore. Yeah. Sometimes the imbalance of the heart chakra is depression or sadness. And to heal it, you would visualize pink or green light and then start focusing on loving yourself, doing things you love. Throat chakra. It's funny because I wasn't going to do the chakras, but you guys got a special class because I have this thing where I don't like usually teaching the chakra system because you can go into it for hours. Like it's related to organs and everything. Like so if you look it up later, you'll find like so much more connections to the chakra system. So the throat, if it's closed, you cannot speak. You cannot speak your mind. You have a hard time saying things to people. Communication, thyroid problems, neck problems, throat problems. To help clear, oh, and that's the channeling chakra because you're channeling out. So when we get into channeling, we'll be working on that chakra a lot too. So for that chakra, if you feel like it's blocked, then you visualize blue light in that area and focus on something that will make you speak your mind. It doesn't mean you have to do a lecture in front of people. You can voice your opinion to the people you feel you need to, or you can sing, chant, rap, whatever,
I
whatever,
can't do any of the above.
or just say vowels, right? And then the next one is the third eye. So the third eye is like an indigo color. So that color is like oh,
Favorite color.
yeah, I'm not sure how to describe that color, indigo. like a purplish blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so if it's not, if your third eye is closed, you're in denial. Usually you're in denial or you're delusional. You don't want to see things a certain way. You're fixated on something because you're seeing something a certain way. And usually sinus problems. Yeah. And so what that one is, you want to take a look at what you're running away from. Truly look at your fears and obstacles. Clearing that so you can see clearly and know what you are actually doing and receiving from people. Yeah, so that's third eye. And then the crown chakra is like a violet. Some people say violet, some people say white, some people say a mix of both, but it's for the crown chakra. And if it's closed, it's hard to learn things. You have a hard time retaining knowledge and information and remembering. You get headaches like migraines. Or confused a lot. So usually that's when the crown chakra is imbalanced. So to balance that would be to do meditation and to visualize those colors like violet and white in your crown. What people don't realize is that all the chakras are connected to psychic ability. It's not just one. Everyone's like, oh, it's just the third eye. It's everything because you need your crown to channel. You need your third eye to see. You need your throat chakra to speak out what you see and what you feel. The heart is for the connection. And then the intuitive gut feeling is like, so it's not just premonition and vision, but more like, I just know, I trust, I just know. And then the sexual chakra would be more like for relationship connection with people when you're doing the readings. And then you have to be grounded anytime you do a reading. If you're not grounded, all the messages will just be like all over the place. So you need to really have all of them open when you do readings. And then there'll be like a meditation, and I think you guys went through it already before. Yeah, I think another class or something. But yeah, so it was like for balancing and letting go and kind of clearing the mind. And actually, I'm gonna post that meditation on tomorrow, I think. I just finished it, so. Okay, so when we connect to anything, we have to keep our hearts open. So when we do tarot cards and we're holding the tarot cards in our hand, we remember that we're using our heart. We're connecting to it. It's not that the cards is just there. We're one with the cards. But yeah, also when you hold the cards in your hand, think of it as it's part of you now. It's not separate. Once you say it's separate, you're gonna not use the cards. And that's another story because later on, you're not going to use the cards, so you will separate from it. So basically, what I want to show you also is how to pick cards. And let me give an example. So of different cards. So when you get a card that is like this, you get cards like this. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes if it reminds you too much of what the card means, it's not easy to do reading because you're going to use your logic more. If you're able to block it out, then not too bad. And then I know some students that actually taped it so they can do the reading. Like, I like the Osho Zen because it's really beautiful and it has really nice stuff, but because they have words underneath it, sometimes it messes people up too. But it gives you a lot to look at, and there's a lot of movement and a lot of feeling and a lot of colors. So when you do any kind of tarot card reading or oracle card reading, I rather say, you want to make sure you can tap into so many different things, not just the main picture itself, but things around the picture. Because when we do readings, I'm going to say, okay, what are you drawn to? And if you're always drawn to the same main focus, then that might not be a good card for you. You want something where you can tap into different things at different times. Like this. Some people say like these cards are way too busy, but to me, these are good because you can tap into so many different things. You can tap into the tree, the leaves, the sky, the ground, the hair, the strands of the unicorn, all different things. the light, so much to tap into. Let's see. Sometimes I choose, oh, I brought the bunny one. So sometimes I bring funny cards because some people are going through so much serious stuff that I kind of want it to be more light for them and not take
Oh, how
life too
cute.
seriously. But if you notice and you look at the pictures of the cards, they still tell stories. And the faces still has expressions. And if you look at the lines, like the lines in the clouds and the action of the horse and the stillness of his pose, you can always get something off of the different things in the pictures. So these are actually pretty good to do readings with. And it's kind of comedy-ish. Like, yeah. The other deck I like is anime, I want to say, because anime, it tells stories. Like the characters have so much expression, so much passion, so much like drama. So you can pick up from a lot of different things. You can pick up from the flag, like the wave of the flag, the action, where they're looking, how they're posing, what they're wearing, what they're sitting in, the sky, the weather.
What
So much
cards were you
different things.
using with us when you did our
I don't know.
our psychic day?
I don't remember actually. Because you know what I do, yeah, the way I do mines now is it's like the event before the event, I just look at all my cards and like this one. You know how you pick crystals? It's like it's
Yeah.
drawn to you and you grab it. It's like this one wants to come with me. So I take I don't
Oh,
remember, yeah.
oh, neat.
So my friend gave me this one and I kind of like it. But I wouldn't suggest it as a first time reading because it's not as easy to get into. But when you
That
do,
one.
you can pick up the feelings and the emotions. And you can pick it up through the pressure. Like if you know, oh, I don't write kanji or anything, but when you think about it, right? You put the certain pressure on certain parts of the brush and you let go on certain parts of the brush. For some reason, the pressure makes me tap into it as more feeling and intention, getting lighter and lighter, that kind of thing. And sometimes in these cards, they do show pictures, like a person holding up something. So like these cards are kind of interesting too. And I like using them once in a while because it really makes you use your intuition more than anything. But yeah, I have so many different ones. I brought like a whole pile of stuff. This one I get a lot of good compliments from. It's called the Light Seers. This one has no frame. It's upside down. But this one has words on it. It says the tarot cards. So if you are into tarot cards as well and the remembering it, you can go with that, or you can go with the pictures as well. So just think about if you can get into it or not. Sometimes I like colors that have dark and light because the contrast to me makes something pop more versus if it's all light or all dark. And sometimes you need to see some dark so you can also point out what they gotta watch out for versus just seeing all the light.